HarperCollins presents A Villa with a View by Julie Caplin. Read by Lucy Walker-Evans. Chapter 1. They say bad things come in threes. As of now, Lia Bathurst was officially up to 5. She pressed the intercom embedded into the rough stone wall again. For the second time, the disembodied voice floated out of the speakers. "This is a private residence. You need to leave." Desperation tightened her vocal cords. "Please, I'd just like to speak to Signor Salvatore. It'll only take a minute, I promise." All she had to do was tell him that Mary Bathurst, née Harding, had sent her, and she was sure he'd see her. He had to. After all, she'd come all the way to Italy to see him. "If you wish to speak to Signor Salvatore, you should book an appointment with his business manager, Signor Knight." The intercom cut off with a finality that suggested if Lia buzzed again, there would be no pickup this time. Sodding hell. She slumped against the wall and wiped a hand over her sweaty forehead. Back in London, the far too handsome Mr. Knight had been Mr. Extremely Unhelpful, which is why she was now on the doorstep of Ernesto Salvatore's picturesque pink villa. Now what? She'd just flipping walked for an hour up the road with more hairpins than Marge Simpson's updo, in 30-degree heat, to get here. Her calves were killing her, her toes were rubbed to hell, and her throat was drier than Death Valley. A sensible person might have set off with a bottle of water, but when she checked on Google Maps, the Villa Mimosa hadn't looked very far. Technically, it wasn't, if you were a crow. What she'd failed to factor in was the 1 in 5 slope of the tarmac ribbon that wound its way around the hillside of the Amalfi coast. With another sigh, she eyed the stone wall enclosing what she guessed was a substantial property. It was foolish to expect anything else. Ernesto Salvatore's summer home was bound to have tight security. If she'd tracked him down on the internet, his many fans no doubt could do the same. The wall, complete with razor wire on the top, stretched along the dusty road into the distance. On the other side of the property were steep, rocky outcrops that a Himalayan goat would be hard-pressed to scale. Even without the sharp-wire deterrent running along the top of the wall, Lia doubted she could have climbed onto it. Certainly not in her flip-flops, which had proved another totally impractical decision. She was all out of ideas. Coming to Italy had seemed such a good plan at the time, right up until she'd walked into her friend Luca's dilapidated studio, with sunlight streaming through the gaps in the roof, and seen the lumpy sofa bed she'd be staying on for the next few weeks, and the miserable excuse for a kitchen. As for the bathroom, she didn't even want to think about the last time it had been acquainted with anything approaching bleach. Probably not in the last decade. Uncharacteristic self-pity threatened to overwhelm her. How could everything go so wrong at the same time? This time 2 weeks ago, life had been peachy. Then, like dominoes falling, everything seemed to collapse. With a sniff, she bent down to rub the sore between her toes and the white liquid-filled blister that had erupted on her right foot. It was her own stupid fault for being so impetuous, and there was no bloody phone signal up here for her to even call for an Uber. She began to limp down the road, but after a couple of 100 metres had to stop. She knelt on one knee to wind a much-crumpled tissue, unearthed from the bottom of her messenger bag, around her big toe to try to alleviate the rubbing. It was going to be a long and slow journey home in the heat of the Mad Dogs and Englishmen midday sun. A battered Fiat tore past, the driver taking the corner on 2 wheels with all the panache of Lewis Hamilton, scattering gravel around her ankles, the backdraft lifting dust, making her cough and splutter. She caught sight of the driver, and for one quick moment she thought she'd seen him somewhere before. With an unexpected and exceedingly unwelcome jolt of her heart, she remembered a pair of vivid blue eyes, and then told herself she was imagining things. Wiping her face, thinking she must look a complete sight, she straightened and watched as a pale blue Vespa putted towards her. It was so cute and so very Italian, and despite her discomfort, the sight made her smile. The scooter slowed and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?